And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, y'all know the deal. I got to talk to you guys about a few quick things. First off, if you are new to the channel, whether you are a Cavaliers fan tuning in to hear us talk about this tonight's game, or you're a Pistons fan trying to tune in to everything that's going on with the Pistons, make sure to subscribe because we bring you guys all the Detroit Pistons content that you would ever really need. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and to turn on your post notifications button if you want to be the first to know when we are uploading to the channel. Make sure if you like our content to give us a thumbs up because our podcast is growing and we would love to continue to grow. And that's where you, the people, come in. Also, tonight we are going to be talking about a lot of different things about tonight's game versus the Cavaliers. If at any point you have any thoughts, comments, questions, whatever it might be about tonight's game or what we are saying, make sure to comment below. We would love to know what you guys have to say and interact with you guys. And it's just kind of makes it fun for us. So make sure to comment below. Without further ado, let's get into tonight's recap of the Pistons versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's final score was 121-128 in the Cleveland Cavaliers' favor. And Ryan, this game was neck and neck throughout. There was around 11 lead changes tonight in tonight's matchup, and the Pistons competed up all the way until the end. But really, it was Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen that really solidified this win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They went on an 8-0 run to finish out this game and kind of put the Pistons away. There was a point through the middle of the fourth quarter where the Pistons went on a 10-2 run. So this was not the typical loss where the Pistons just looked defeated or they were sluggish. No, the Pistons are competing at a high level right now. And this was a Cleveland Cavaliers team that's been playing at a very high level as of late. This is their 8th win in a row. So, Ryan, when watching tonight's game, was it Donovan Mitchell really what solidified this win? What was it for the Cavs to get the upper hand tonight?
Well, you could make a point that it was Donovan Mitchell at 45 points tonight, which, I mean, any player dropping 40 on us is going to hurt us in the end. But outside of Mitchell, like you said, Jarrett Allen did help in that. And I would say to the point of it was the bench that really killed us in Cleveland. When you had Karis LeVert have 11, Isaac Okoro had 14, and Sam Merrill with 11. And then Georges Niang also had 4 points. Like, that bench killed us. That late stretch run that Cleveland ended up going on was helped in just by Karis LeVert alone. Finished with 11, like I said. He was a crucial piece in that run starting for them. And then you had Jarrett Allen finishing when it mattered the most. You had Donovan Mitchell sub in crunch time and instantly stole the show. Those 3 guys killed us. It like the games out of like Max Strus, 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3 in 31 minutes, only had 2 points. That's a great game if you're the Pistons sitting there holding Max Strus to that. Darius Garland, only 19 points tonight with 3 assists and 2 steals. That's not a typical night for Darius Garland. He's usually around 25 points against us. So we hold him to 19. That's good. Evan Mobley only took 7 shots all night, had 8 points, 22 minutes played, wasn't a factor. Some of their top guys weren't factors except for Jarrett Allen, Donovan Mitchell, and then their bench with Karis LeVert. Those 3 guys killed us alone. And it was really just the Cavaliers. They're an experienced team. They're one of the best teams in the league for a reason. And this team has just played together a lot more than the Pistons have played together in terms of chemistry-wise. And I think what ended up killing us was chemistry. And then on top of that, when you needed a bucket from the Cavaliers, they provided that.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Cleveland Cavaliers just look like they are absolutely locked in and on a mission to win as many NBA games as they can this season to set themselves up for the playoffs. And when you have a guy like Donovan Mitchell leading the way offensively, defensively, um, in the passing game, I mean, Donovan Mitchell is just such a dynamic player in today's NBA, and he's going to help you get wins. And he proved it tonight against the Pistons. A nice positive that we can take away from tonight's matchup is Danilo Gallinari finishing with 20 points off the bench, 6 of 8 from the field, 4 of 4 from the 3-point line in 22 minutes. He was actually the leading scorer for the Detroit Pistons, but just another reason why we traded for him. And he's been a great asset so far. And when you have a guy like that coming off the bench and you accompany that with Alec Burks 11 points and then Kevin Knox 12 points, it's like this. And then Kevin Knox, and then Monte Morris with 8. This Pistons bench is really starting to come along and play very well together. It's a great mix of young, big potential guys and these proven vets. I really like the Pistons bench right now, and Danilo Gallinari was the leader.
Yeah, that's why, like you said, that's why we went out and got these guys in that trade. And this is, again, no disrespect to Marvin Bagley. It is a little bit disrespectful to Isaiah Livers because he wasn't really that good for us. But Bagley, everybody, if you recall to his first game with the Wizards, had like this monster game, and everybody's going like, great, did Weaver just make another mistake? And Weaver honestly hasn't even made a mistake yet, really. And that trade wasn't even a mistake because you look at Bagley's play since, again, it's the same Marvin Bagley that we had. Very inconsistent, would have a good night here and there, but that's about it. But with Danilo Gallinari and Mike Muscala, their impact right away, Muscala more than Gallinari, but just because of minutes, Muscala has been a beast. Obviously, he left the game with an injury. That's why he had limited time tonight, but got the starting nod, which that's great for him. But Danilo Gallinari, like you mentioned, 20 points, 6 of 8 from the field, 100% at the line, making 100% from 3, rather, making 4 threes, and then 4 or 5 at the line with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. That's a phenomenal game out of him. At one point in time, in 16 minutes played, he had 16 points. I always talk about being efficient, and he was that tonight for us. Honestly, if it weren't for Gallinari, this game wouldn't have been as close as it was, because when we needed a bucket, he was hitting the opportune shots. It's all about opportunities for this team, for the Pistons, because of their young players, and then also because they don't know how to win quite yet. They're getting there. But when you have an opportunity and hit shots at opportune moments, this team is excelling beyond their levels. The bench play, you had 30 points-ish combined with Kevin Knox and Danilo Gallinari. That's phenomenal. And yeah. Knox has not been playing great recently, but provided the 12 points off the bench for us, 5 of 9 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, and then 100% at the line, making that 1 free throw. These guys are playing good minutes, and Gallinari, best game as a Piston, obviously, but if it weren't for him, it wouldn't have been as close.
Well, and a big contributor to Gallinari's points is Alec Burks' 6 assists. I mean, it is not every night we are saying Alec Burks finished with 6 assists, and I think a contributor to the Gallinari success was Alec Burks. So the point is that we are slowly starting to see our veteran pieces starting to mix together. And that is great to see as Pistons fans, because if we've made a couple of these trades now and kept guys like Alec Burks on an extension and he wasn't succeeding like he was the first half of the season, we would be kind of kicking ourselves. But Alec Burks, Gallinari, Muscala are already making an impact and playing where we pretty much want them, and what we even probably more than what we expect. I mean, when we picked up Alec Burks a year ago, I was not really expecting a whole lot from him. And now, I mean, he's completely exceeded my expectations. And then Gallinari giving us 20 points. I would have never have thought he would have done that in his first 10 games with the Pistons. That's not what I was predicting for him. Cade Cunningham had a good outing tonight. I wanted to mention him because he was struggling in the first half shooting a bit, and then he turned it around. He came into the first half with came into the second half rather with 7 points and finished with 19, 7 assists, 8 of 16, so 50% from the field and 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. Cade Cunningham doing his thing. It's great to see him coming off of an injury and kind of get some good outings together and kind of start compiling some good basketball, getting back in the groove of things. And then Jalen Duren, just short of that that double double rather, but finished with 10 points, 9 rebounds. And Jaden Ivey has been doing his thing as of recent. The starters did their job. Jaden Ivey finished with 14. Obviously, like you said, Mike Muscala went down with injury. Not much you can do there. But the Pistons starters are usually, surprisingly enough, are the ones that have the chemistry issues. But now that Jaden Ivey's starting to come around a little bit, be very active, and kind of has solidified himself as a full-time starter, it's great to see them compete against a tough, hard-nosed team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. As a Pistons fan, to see them compete, that was just terrific.
Yeah, the play out of Ivy has been on a whole nother scale. You look back at the first couple of games of the season, and you're going like, either this isn't the same Ivy we saw last year, or Monty's out to get him. Like, that was the conversation. Ivy's calmed that down. There's no conversation there at all. I don't think Monty or anyone in the front office has anything against Ivy. I think they absolutely love him. He just needed to prove himself. That's what he needed to do. You look at as we saw earlier in the season, the battle of the bigs between Wiseman and Bagley. The same thing happened there that we're seeing earlier on with Ivy that we're now just getting used to. Ivy is playing phenomenal basketball, 5 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, and then 2 of 3 at the line. He is starting to solidify himself as a guy who can shoot the 3 and have a lot of success there. And the play out of him overall, not just shooting the 3 ball, when you add in how he can facilitate an offense, throw out dishes left and right, can collect rebounds whenever he wants to, is starting to fill the lanes better defensively, more so now than he ever has been. He's starting to grow right in front of our eyes. And because of him, he's one of the big contributing factors as to why we're even in this game, outside of the terrific bench play. And then outside of Cade coming back and giving us 19 and the 7 assists, which is a great game coming off of an injury. But Ivy is starting to show that he is a true leader on this team. And I'm excited for that.
The Pistons had 17 turnovers throughout 4 quarters tonight against the Cavs. And the Cavs, off those 17 turnovers, scored 29 points. That was another kind of reason that you can look at on paper to be like, okay, I can see the correlation of going through these 4 quarters and then the Cavaliers ending up on top of this matchup, because the Pistons have gotten better with turnovers. There was a streak there in early January where we were seeing them have 1-digit turnovers, 8, 7, 9. And then as of recent, it's not as they're getting lax, but we're starting to see 15, 17, 12. And we really want to see them in just around the 8, 9. But I think that was another kind of reason why the Cavaliers were kind of able to take advantage of those mistakes. The Cleveland Cavaliers seem to me as a team that will pounce on the opposing team's turnovers and the mistakes, and they did that tonight.
Yeah, you think about it, 17 turnovers, and not just turnovers, but they also had 17 fouls. And you look at how efficient the Pistons were shooting the ball, they were above 50% in each the field, the three-point line, and the free throw line. Like, that is crazy for the Pistons. So the fact that they were there at that level shows you that they could have easily won this game. And that's what shot them in the foot, is the turnovers. Because like you mentioned, the Cleveland Cavaliers know how to pounce. And they pounced on opportune moments that the Pistons gave them. And like you look at and you think about the late stretches in the 4th quarter and the runs, or even the runs in the 3rd quarter that the Cleveland Cavaliers went on. What started those? Turnovers by the Pistons. That's what started those. And you think of, like, maybe the Pistons hit those shots, what happens then? My answer would be, we win this game. That's that. There's no, we lose this game by 7 points and Donovan Mitchell goes off for 45. I don't think that's the case. I think if we don't turn the ball over in those situations, we put up points and we win this game rather than losing. And that's what sucks about this loss tonight, is because everybody stepped up. Everybody was playing great. As a team, we were shooting the ball very efficiently. And what shot us in the foot has been a common thing that usually does shoot us in the foot from last year to this year to even the last 5 years is turning the ball over. If we limit our turnovers, this team can go far beyond our expectations. But until that point, you can expect maybe a handful of losses like this.
Here's a stat that I found that really stood out to me, and I just had to mention it. You talked about the great efficient shooting from the Pistons tonight, whether it was the 3-point line or the field or the free throw line. Well, the Pistons shot 70% from the second quarter to the fourth quarter. I mean, that's just incredible. It was the first quarter that really kind of did the Pistons in, but just imagine if they cut down on some of those misses in the first quarter, would have been even more insane of a statistic. But what do you attribute the great shooting from the Pistons? Is it Gallinari kind of lightening the load for the starters so that like when Gallinari's starting to rack up some of these shots, it kind of just gives a freedom to the offense and there's not so much nerves and second guessing of shots? Or is it just the stars aligned and the Pistons just had one of those weirdly efficient nights? What do you attribute it to?
What I think it is truly just the way our bench played. The lineup of Monte Morris, Alec Burks, Asar Thompson, Danilo Gallinari, Kevin Knox out there too. Like you think of those guys, they are what fueled our late third quarter, going into our early fourth quarter, to have the starters come back out there. They are what fueled this game. And it was all night long, not just late stretches, but all night long. Like Monte Morris played 16 minutes, gave us 8 points, but also gave us 2 assists and 2 rebounds. Like you can't ask for much out of him. Like he's playing barely any minutes, still coming off an injury. We have to keep that in mind. He's still coming off an injury and is still this productive in very limited minutes. But I like what the rotation looks like, or what it had looked like when you had Asar out there with Monte Morris and Alec Burks, and then even Danilo Gallinari. Like those 4 guys just seem to work so well together. And to me, that's exciting because it shows you what's to come in the future potentially. But then that's what really I think is the factor in us shooting so efficiently is our effectiveness to take good shots, get good looks. Because there were multiple times where you had Asar Thompson cutting to the hoop and finishing with a dunk or just laying it up. Or you had Danilo Gallinari just backing Dean Wade down in the paint, hitting a layup. Like you had all these guys pretty much in their bag, and they're using their bread and butter, what they're good at, and they couldn't miss. And that's really what helped take a load off of Cade, because Cade didn't need to go above and beyond and give you 30 points or 25, gave you a solid 19. Not much you can ask for there. And then same with Bojan. Bojan had 17 points. And then Jaden Ivey 14, Duran 10. So like the point is, if our bench wasn't there, you'd be expecting a lot of pressure and weight on Cade's shoulders, Jaden's shoulders, Duran's shoulders, Bojan's shoulders, the entire starting unit. But because of our bench play, that's what really fueled us to shoot as efficiently as we did tonight.
And to your point of the offense kind of lightening the load of Cade Cunningham, not having to worry about offense as much, he had longevity throughout this game. We didn't see him get burnt out in the first parts of the fourth quarter or the late stretches of the fourth quarter. He was active because I think at times when Cade goes all in on the first half, and I think sometimes the reasons Pistons lose it in the end is because Cade's just worn out. He's been beat up the first half and did so much to keep the score that close. I think tonight is a separate case just because the Cavs just outright won it with just effort and grit. But overall, it was nice to see Cade not have to totally worry about the Pistons offense and just kind of let him do his thing, find his shots when the defense gave him shots, and just let the game come to him. That was just absolutely great to see. That will do it for tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Tonight's final score was 121 to 128 in the Cleveland Cavaliers' favor. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.